welcome everybody to episode 4 or 400. I can't really remember. I think it's 4. We've got Gaberino here with us today. Other Gabe. He's got wish list polls. He's got Futurism Society. He's got a whole lot of things going on. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
I'd like to congratulate you on pronouncing my screen name correctly. I get all kinds of different guesses at how to pronounce that, so El Gaberino is the correct pronunciation.
Yeah, dude. No problem.
Incidentally, actually, and I was just talking about how the Moose keeps posting these GIFs from The Big Lebowski. That screen name is from The Big Lebowski as well, because at one point he calls himself El Duderino.
Yeah.
And I just converted that.
There you go. So yeah, when did you start playing in MCOC?
I started playing in 2015. I think October.
Okay. So about how long after that did you really want to get into like doing this wish list and getting involved with the community?
So that was actually quite some time. So, and I didn't actually mean to get involved with the community per se, other than just as it happened, right? I was involved very much with my Alliance family. Shout out to the Home Fam if any of you guys are around. They're just a great group of guys and gals who are just a comfortable, mostly very mature group and fun to play with, right? It's always nice to have 30 people you can just play Marvel Contest of Champions with, and no drama, etc. And I got pretty involved in helping one of those alliances in that alliance family for a while. So that chewed up most of my game energy for a long time. But I got interested at one point at posting a couple suggestions for Marvel Champions that I thought would be cool. And I went on the message board, and I started kind of putting some ideas on there. I think that's how it started, and it may have come from they added a few champions, I think, in 2017 or something 2018 that I hadn't heard of before, and I got kind of excited about learning more Marvel characters, and then when I was looking at all the message boards, though, they've got this. If you are familiar with this part of the MCOC world, they have this message board on there called the Wish List 3.0. Everybody knows it because they've had a couple of different wish list wish list threads that they then killed and replaced with a new one. So 3.0 is the current one. That's gone for like 300 pages now. And people go on there and drop names all the time. I want this champion. I want that champion. Why haven't they brought Black Cat to the list? Where's Sandman? How is it that we've been having this game for 5 years and Sandman's not in it yet? We got all these obscure characters and nobody's brought in Adam Warlock. And then you get people who come on there and ask for super obscure characters most people have never heard of. Bloodscream was one that I think I remember early on when I was starting the poll. Some guy was on there asking, like, he put like 3 or 4 posts on there just asking, please put Bloodscream in the game. He's my favorite character. And everyone was just ignoring him. Like, nobody liked his posts. Nobody listened to him. And I thought, it might be interesting. It might be interesting to start a poll, some kind of a poll to get to measure people's interest in all these different champions that are being named, rather than just dumping them all into a thread. What if we could, what if people could vote? They could see those names and go, oh yeah, definitely that one, or oh yeah, definitely not. And then I remembered that sort of clickbait website Ranker that you always see ads for, or whatever you used to anyway. And so I thought, I should go. I think you can start your own. So I'll go start my own. And I put like 80 champs on there, which to me was a lot. I thought that was a ton of champs. And I think that was in like 2018 sometime, or 2017. I honestly can't remember anymore. But I ran into the problem that not a whole lot of people knew about it. So like my alliance knew about it, and I knew a couple guys in other alliances, so they knew about it, and they passed it on. But it was all word of mouth. And so I would say before last year, before like halfway through 2019, there were probably only about 400 or 500 people who had voted on it.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
and so I was trying to. Go
How many
ahead.
people vote on it today?
3,000.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's crazy. It's a
yeah.
big
So
chunk.
it's yeah. It's well. What happened was this community is great. I there was some kind of hype that was being released by Marvel Champions on Twitter, and I realized, oh, Twitter would be good. I should learn how that works because I've never been a big Twitter person. And went on to Twitter, and the main reason I avoid Twitter is just to avoid the stress of everybody arguing about whatever current events or you know which version of Star Wars is better or politics or whatever. So,
Yeah.
but I found that I could go on to Twitter and just sort of follow, like, curate this situation for myself where I was just interacting with people who like Marvel Contest of Champions. And I'll tell you, it's been golden. People are
Right. You
just
can vote
really
to your
nice.
food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People are really nice. They love working on stuff together, like making content together, hanging out. Um, Shut up, turkey. And so that's a reference to something that happened in the chat, by the way. Somebody started talking about Star Wars versions in the chat, so I needed to say something. And I'm not calling him a turkey; that's his handle. Anyway, so yeah, so I started tweeting about the fact that there's this ranker poll, and I was just trying to get people's attention that, hey, this exists. Please go vote on it because it's useless if people aren't voting on it. Maybe we can get all these summoners to put in their input, and then maybe it'll be useful to Kabam, right?
Yeah.
And then along the way, around that time, I think by that time I've had about 150 characters on there last year, and no, by then I had a lot more than that because I think it was when they added Darkhawk that I realized, and Night Thrasher, that I realized, oh, I'm going to have to go a lot deeper. So last year, by the time I started tweeting about it, I think we probably had like 450 or 500 characters on there already, and then people kept adding suggestions like, oh, what about this character, what about that. But the other thing that happened was I got so much support from the UMCOC podcast folks, especially Deke. Deacon started like retweeting me and going, hey guys, this is a guy who likes obscure champs, obscure Marvel characters, you should totally follow him, right? And then a few other people came out of the woodwork, and Rich the Man has been so supportive. Oh my gosh, I never expected that YouTubers like Rich the Man and Katie Candy would be interested in that ranker poll I made, but they'll like drop references to me, and Rich endorsed me in a YouTube early in the year, and so then it kind of took off from there. People started being more curious and coming on and realizing they could vote, and then I got feedback from a few people about how we could drive more votes further down the poll because people get bored, right? They vote like for the top 50 and then they sort of peter out. They don't
Yeah.
go. So
As I was scrolling through earlier today, I got to like 200, and then I was like, "Oh my god, how many are there?" you know.
so we have 616. We decided that actually the idea to limit it to 616 was something that Deke and I came up with while we were brainstorming the first tournament. And yeah, that's for those of you who don't know, Earth 616 is the main Marvel continuity. And so when we realized, oh, there's going to be about 600 characters on there anyway, let's just limit it to that. And then that, so that answers. Hopefully, it's a long answer, but hopefully that answers your question there about the poll and when that all
Yeah.
got going. Yeah.
It answers a lot of questions. So, what are some of your favorite champions that are on the poll that aren't in the top 50?
Oh man, that is a good question. I feel like somebody just asked me a pop quiz question. All right, the teacher just pulled a pop quiz. Let me see. I'll bet you some of the guys in the chat can answer that question. What are some of other Gabe's favorite champs that aren't in the top 50? Oh, Turkey just mentioned Phantom X, but Phantom X is in the top 50, Turkey, so fail. Yeah, Legion is a good one. JX just mentioned Legion. My personal favorites are, and I actually have a sad face about a few of these because a few have ended up in the abject last place. Not abject last place. That belongs to North Star. And honestly, I think people have voted down North Star so violently because he's like the other Marvel Speedster, and people are like, no, we want Quicksilver. So
Huh.
right now, I don't know if you know this, but Quicksilver is in first place on the poll. He has been for weeks. And last place is North Star. So I think people are making it pretty clear which Speedster they want.
Right.
With apologies to all the Canadians and people who like North Star. But, I think people would be mad if we got a Speedster and it wasn't Quicksilver. No, let me real quick name a few. So Plant Man, I love Plant Man. He's a real obscure villain, but I think he's really cool. And it bums me out that he's nearly last place. Also, I really like the Human Fly. He's in the 500s somewhere, so people should go vote for him. Dr. Nemesis, that is correct.
There you go.
Turkey just said Dr. Nemesis. He said I would crap my pants. I probably wouldn't physically crap my pants, but I would lose my mind if Dr. Nemesis was added to the game. I would be so happy. And also Machine Man. Anybody who knows that's my main guy. That's my main champ. I'm always saying, hey, let's add Machine Man to the game. And there's others. I got a whole list of the ones that are like my pet favorites. But
so when you're doing the little deep dives, have you read the comic books to do all the deep dives into these characters, like their backstories and all that?
So no, I mean, the vast majority of the cases, no. Unfortunately, I mean, I've read my share of comics, but some of these I've read, some of them I haven't. Like I've read some Machine Man stuff mostly because I started reading about him, and then I started getting more interested in Machine Man just as a character. It just kind of cracks me up, He's not like Vision, who's this kind of perfect android who's like logical and like a Star Trek character. No, like Machine Man is cocky and he's a smart aleck, but he's a robot, right? So it's just there's like, plus the old 80s Machine Man art is so beautiful. Like there was some of the best really interesting cover art done for Machine Man. So I just got into him and started reading his stuff, partially because I was making this. I would say it's the other way around. To answer your question in a nutshell, it's the other way around. Because I was making this poll, I started reading more comics.
Okay. All right. No, that's even better though. Like, do you when you're getting the comics, do you do the trade paperbacks or do you get Marvel Unlimited?
I don't have Marvel Unlimited. I prefer to get the kind of the collected volumes.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So with the new tournament, there's how many different there's how many different divisions?
So that's an interesting question. We structured the tournament differently this time. Last time there was just a regular. It was just like March Madness for those few of you who are avid basketball fans and also into comic books. It was just the idea came from the fact that March Madness got canceled. This was during COVID, and March Madness got canceled. And I knew there were a bunch of people who were going to be bummed about that because normally during February, people are filling out their bracket to try to predict, or I don't know when they're doing it, January. They're trying to predict who's going to win the March Madness tournament. And I thought, wouldn't it be great if we could make one of those for Marvel Champions? And just as a goof around, we could have this tournament. We call it March Adness because the winners of the tournament get added to the wish list poll. And that was part of what Deacon and I came up with while we were talking about this was like, you can't just keep adding characters to this poll. It's already too big. Like you got bored at 200, right? Or you got overwhelmed at 200, right? A lot of people, I think, don't even go that far. And there's 600 characters on this thing. You can't just keep adding people. But there are spots that open up when they add characters to the game. So we thought, well, maybe we could have these tournaments, these kind of death matches to decide. Let the summoners decide who gets added to the wish list poll.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So
So what I was going to say, that didn't actually answer your question. Sorry about that. So to answer your question, last time we had a regular two-sided bracket with 4 divisions. And so you got your Sweet 16 and your Elite 8 and your Final 4, just like in basketball. This time we have a collaboration. I'm very pleased to announce this again. We have a collaboration with Kat Murdoch. If you don't know who Kat Murdoch is, she's a beloved artist who has a very signature style, and she loves to draw stuff related to Marvel Contest of Champions. And she's the one that just announced in the app. Everybody's seen her name now because she was allowed to announce the Daredevil buff is coming. And so she also has spent this year, for those of you who don't follow her, she's spent this year making drawings of mashups of different Marvel Contest of Champions characters.
Right.
And
one mashup. Great work.
Cat Murdoc's mashups. She does them on Mondays. They're beautiful. She has come up with some amazing character combinations based on some of her, popular demand, right? People, combine these two, combine those two. And we got this crazy idea. What if we could put those in the tournament, and then that would let summoners pick a couple of her mashups to go on the wish list poll, right? Yeah. We could tell Kabam, hey, we kind of like Cat's mashups. We wouldn't mind if one of these showed up in the game. Because, right. I mean, how organic would that be, right?
Yeah, if something... Like a summoner original.
Yeah. Oh, man, I think people would love that. I think that would be really cool. So we have 6 divisions this time. We have 4 regular divisions and then 2 divisions that are just Cat Murdoch mashups. And she is guaranteed a spot in the final round because the final round will be a Nexus final round with three contestants.
Okay. So you said Cat has 2. What are the other 2? Or 4, I mean.
The other 4 divisions last time the divisions were named after inside jokes from other Twitter games we've played. And so like I used to make up goofy names for obscure characters, and then I'd ask people to guess who that was. Like I asked people to guess who Mr. Kitties was. And honestly, I'm struggling to remember his name now even, but he was the guy who uses telepathy and technology to train big cats like lions and tigers to attack people. He was a Luke Cage rogue, oh, wow. Luke Cage villain. And Turkey Chief, Aiden the Turkey Chief. If you guys don't know who he is, you should pay attention because he's a great content creator. He's doing a lot of work on this tournament. He's naming the divisions in the chat right now.
Right.
Very active member of the MCOC Futurism Society. So the names of the divisions this time around. Anyway, the point with the Mr. Kitties thing was there was a whole division of feline characters last time. That was one of the inside jokes, and all of the divisions were based on that. This time the divisions are Krakoa and Commonwealth, which is, obviously a reference to mutants, but Commonwealth also refers to things like Marvel UK, anything Australian or Canadian, right?
Right.
So,
right.
This sort of the British Empire. So you get some Excalibur type of flavor in there, right?
Yeah.
You get some Alpha Flight, and all those things are sort of usually connected with mutant stuff anyway. So there you go. Super Drama is the second division, and that is exactly what it sounds like. It's a lot of villains, but some just sort of conflicted characters, some bad boys, some mischief makers, some mercenaries. There's actually a couple of quasi-heroic characters in there, but they're Jolt is in there, and I would argue Jolt is pretty heroic, but she's normally associated with the Thunderbolts, who were all reformed villains. Some more reformed than others. And then we had Hero Lane, which is kind of a classic heroes. It started out as variants on classic heroes. We had several variations on a Captain America type or a just various others like that, and Avengers, really. And we ended up kind of adding some more different types of heroic types other than just Avengers, but that's almost exclusively heroes. There's one character in the Hero Lane wildcard round that's going to be coming out in the next couple of days here that's a villain, and I don't remember how he ended up in there. It's just one random inconsistency in our whole system here. I don't know why. And then the last division is Dimensions and Energies, which is Mystic Champs. It's sorcerers and dimensional beings and regular heroes who got their powers through a magical means. Reptile is in there. He's one of the Avengers Academy characters, and I think he has a magical amulet that gives him his powers. Stuff like that. So So there you have it. You have the mutants, you have the kind of villainous drama, you have the heroes, and then you have the mystical magical. And those are your 4 divisions besides the Cat Murdoch mashups.
Right. Okay. So do you have like a favorite out of the bracket that you have now? Or did you have a favorite or underdog out of the last bracket that you thought was gonna win and did better than you thought?
So that's interesting. I was never planning on having wild card rounds. It was just going to be round 1, round 2, and then the playoffs, right? But after I announced the tournament last time, certain people kept requesting characters that I hadn't included in the tournament, and so I decided, okay, fine, we'll have a wild card round to decide who gets the very last place seed in round 1, which is the 24th seed, because there's 24 characters in each division.
Right.
For round 1, and the guy, Two Tone Manny on Twitter, kept saying Dr. Bong. We got to include Dr. Bong. And if you don't know who Dr. Bong is, he's one of the enemies of Howard the Duck, and he's this
He
guy who has
looks like
this
he has
armor.
a big old bell on his
He
head.
literally has a helmet. His helmet is a bell, and one of
Yeah.
his arms is like the thing inside the bell. His got his hand chopped off, and so his hand is like the thing that hits the bell. And he has sonic powers, so he can like hit the bell in different ways to make different sounds to like attack his enemies. He's obviously supposed to be a goofy character, right? But he's had some interesting adventures. He's fought against She-Hulk. He's fought against others in the comics, and Manny just wouldn't let it go. He just kept bringing up Dr. Bong, Dr. Bong. I'm like, okay, fine, like we'll put this obscure character in there. And Dr. Bong did incredibly well last time. He just got popular. He like beat everybody in his division almost, and including notably Omega Sentinel, who will be in the Summoner's Choice thing. And so he went all the way and qualified to get on the poll, and now he's just like he's on the wish list poll, but he's like somewhere in the 200s. He's not super popular on there, but you can't expect a guy like that. What's that?
I said I saw him in there.
Yeah, I don't know if you can expect him to compete real hard against some of the big names, but he's that was the one that amused me the most, I would say, last time. I would say that the Starjammers member Cha'ad was one I was really hoping people would vote for. He's like a big swamp monster looking guy, and he's got guns, and he's really intelligent, and he's a pilot and stuff. And I like the Starjammers. They're like space pirates, right? Like Han Solo and everything. And the Starjammers are led by Cyclops' dad, and it's like his long lost dad story and everything. So I thought that would be cool if people voted for Cha'ad, but they didn't, and I was disappointed about that. But this time, if I had to pick somebody who I'm really hoping people vote for, it's pretty difficult. I really like one of the characters that's going to be in the wild card is. I'm trying to remember the name of the character. There's so many characters. I'm going to pull it up right now so that I can just say it. The character that I find interesting for the wild cards is... It's coming. Terrible Eye. Have you heard of the Terrible Eye?
No, I have not.
The Terrible Eye is a mystic character that was one of the agents of MODOK, which was a Gwenpool type of thing with the new improved version of MODOK. And they have this mystic team member. They're all mercenaries, and they have this mystic team member called the Terrible Eye. And she's got this mystical headdress thing that she puts on that looks like 4 different eyes. And she has like these all-knowing abilities, like the ability to pull all of the knowledge in the universe. But she slowly goes crazy the more knowledge she pulls in. But also it increases her magical abilities, like her sorcery or whatever. And I think that'd be such an interesting champ, similar to like Bishop. You know how Bishop, like he can get all of that energy charges, the prowess charges, but if he gets too much, he starts taking damage, and you have to manage that. I honestly, Bishop is one of my favorite playable characters because there's so much he can do. There's so many circumstances you can take him into. And for a long time, when we didn't have a lot of good energy conduit types of champs, he was just very useful for a big pop of damage against certain situations. And I like those where you have to manage the, oh, I could overload and my powers could kill me kind of thing. It's just cool. And I think Terrible Eye is an unknown. And it's just kind of I like rooting for the underdog, and so that's an interesting one.
So Marcus Pack released a little video earlier today and said Darkwing Duck was going to be a wild card in your tournament. Is that something we might see more of in the future? Is Disney characters coming into Marvel?
No, you're not going to see a lot of Disney characters. There are 2 Disney characters on the MCOC wishlist poll. One is Darkwing Duck, and the other is Baymax.
Yep.
Now, Baymax makes a lot more sense because Baymax and the Big Hero 6 got their start in Marvel Comics and were adapted by Disney. Now, the version of Baymax that we're all used to is the Disney version. It's a cartoon. It's not what the original Baymax looked like.
Big Hero 6, yeah.
Yeah. But Darkwing was added a long time ago. I can't even remember anymore whether it was me or somebody else who added him, because it used to be open. It used to be almost anybody could add a character to the poll, and people added all kinds of crazy stuff that I never would have added. Somebody added Forget Me Not, which is like a guy. His only power is that people forget him. Like I never would have added that character, but it is an interesting thing. So, so Darkwing got added a long time ago, and also. Here's a piece of poll trivia for you. He was popular. Darkwing Duck was in the top 50 for a long time. And it wasn't until I got on Twitter and started getting more and more and more people coming in that eventually he just couldn't hang anymore. There were too many people who were like, what? Darkwing Duck? No. So now he's down toward the bottom of the list. And I thought, one of the things that we're doing with this tournament is that there's some characters I thought, should we delete this character from the poll? You know, like, does he really belong there? And Darkwing is one of those. And so I basically just put it up to summoners. It's like, you guys want to vote Darkwing back in? Fine. If he gets eliminated in the tournament, then maybe we'll delete him from the poll. We'll at least keep it in mind to delete him from the poll.
All right. So,
but he has been in Marvel Comics.
Really? Has he?
Yeah. He hasn't been in. I do not think it's fair to say that he's been in the Marvel multiverse. But Marvel Comics did publish some Saturday morning adventures for Disney, and Darkwing was the main character that was featured the most, because he obviously lends himself to comic books more than most Disney material.
Yeah. All right. Well, there's a little interesting piece of trivia for you.
Yep. That's one of the rules for the poll. You can't be on there if you haven't been in Marvel Comics.
There you go. So when did Kabam decide to get involved with talking to you about the wish list and the polls and stuff?
Yeah, that's a good question. So Kabam, and I'm going to tread lightly here because they've never officially endorsed what I do, but I remember I think it was January. Kabam Mike started following me, and the official Marvel Champions account started following me, and at the time I just about lost my mind because I'd been doing this on Twitter for a few months, and then I was starting to get actual Kabam channels following me and paying attention to what I was doing. And then Gabe, and I call myself Other Gabe because those of you who know, the guy, like the creative director behind Marvel Contest of Champions, is Gabe. It's Gabriel Frazera. Yeah, and so who am I? I'm just some other guy. I'm just Other Gabe, and so that's why I call myself that. And he actually started using some of our conversations about future champs. He would just come in out of nowhere and drop a little hint every once in a while. He'd just grace us with something, right? And then as soon as he was there, then he was gone again. You try to ask him, what do you mean by that? And he wouldn't reply. He's just his like cloak and dagger kind of mystery. No actual reference to those champs. I'm just using that in the idiom sense. Right. But yeah, so Gabe would come by, Kabam Mike would come by, and the official account would occasionally drop a hint here and there. And then the really big development happened in when the tournament started. We had a tie match one of the Twitter polls ended in a tie, and I had never thought of that. I don't know what happens if one of these matchups ties. I didn't have a tiebreaker mechanism, and so then I was talking with a few YouTubers and stuff because I was beginning to get to know some of the celebrity cool people like Katie Candy and Rich at that time, and Deke and I were talking about it, and we said, well, what if we should ask some CCP members, some content creator program members? For those of you who don't know, Marvel Contest of Champions has a content creator program where they let certain content creators have the inside scoop on some certain things, and I'm not in that. I've held off applying because I'm afraid that if I heard inside information about future champs ahead of time, it could like bias me, right, or something, which could be baloney. But I just haven't applied yet. But so they were like, well, let's get some CCP members to be the judges for the tiebreaker, and then somebody's like, why don't you just ask Kabam Mike if Kabam wants to do it? And I don't remember how it went down exactly, but I ended up talking with Mike about it, and he said that'd be great. Like, let's just do that. So he got Gabe himself, and then he got Kabam Ein, who's one of the champion designers, or maybe lead champion designer. I can't remember what Ein's title is. But this is all like behind closed doors to me. I can't look behind the curtain and see what's happening at Kabam, but it was the three of them. They were our judges panel, and that was like this huge endorsement from Kabam. Like, wow, you guys are willing to like come out and play with us. This is amazing. And I think it was a huge morale boost for everybody during COVID and all the weird stuff that was happening in May. And this time Ein is not in it this time, but this time we have Gabe and Kabam Mike and Kabam John as the tiebreaker panel. They've agreed to it again.
Okay.
And actually, what's interesting is I didn't hear from them forever, and I was worried they weren't going to do it again. And the reason they weren't talking to me was because they were going to announce the Summoner's Choice, and they didn't. They were afraid that if they talked with me about my tournament, they'd accidentally give away the surprise about Summoner's Choice. So as soon as Summoner's Choice was announced, then Mike got back to me. He's like, "Yeah, we'll do it."
Yeah. Okay. So did they didn't talk to you about your you or them putting Omega Sentinel into the Summoner's Choice before you were gonna put her into the tournament?
No, they didn't. We weren't going to put Omega Sentinel in the tournament this time because she was in it last time and she lost.
Right.
And one of the things the Futurism Society members had said, let's not use too many of the same characters from last time. So I wasn't going to put her in. But then I'm very sensitive to what summoners want. So if somebody hits me up on Twitter, I'm probably going to listen to them. And there was a guy who hit me up on Twitter and was like, I'd really like to see Omega Sentinel. So I was like, all right, let's put her back in. And then right after we did that, we were about to announce the tournament and the bracket and everything. Summoner's Choice came down, and there she is. And I was a little embarrassed because I've got 600 characters on this ranker poll, and one of the 8 that they named wasn't even on our 600 character list. But she was going to be in the tournament, and so we had to kind of scramble and say, okay, guys, what are we going to do? Who's going to replace her? Also, we worked really hard, and I hope you gals out there who like Marvel Contest of Champions, the ladies, our sister summoners, will appreciate this. We worked really hard to get good representation for female characters in the tournament. I can say for certain there's at least 40% of the characters in the tournament this time are female characters, and so losing a female character, suddenly we don't have Omega Sentinel. I mean, it's actually pretty hard. A lot of the good female characters are either already in the game or on the wish list poll. And so we had to dig pretty deep to find good replacements. But I think we did a good job. I mean, I think the little preliminary round we had there with Cerebra and Cerise and Troll was a good little selection for you guys. But
right. And
by the way,
yeah, go
what's
ahead.
that? Yeah, well, I was gonna say that I just want to thank everybody who's so into this. Like, we got 100 votes on that preliminary. Like, people are so ready to vote in this tournament, and that's more. I think 100 votes is more than any of the matches got in the last tournament. So, yeah, I'm excited about this. I think this is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. So can you talk about how go yeah, how to go about turning in brackets and prizes yet?
Yeah, so
Are you
I
doing
can't.
anything?
Yeah, yep. I cannot yet announce the prizes. And honestly, that's a positive thing. It's just that every time I think I know what the prize is definitely going to be, somebody suggests a cooler thing. So, being inside the being inside the MCOC Futurism Society chat is an inspiring place to be. I can only imagine. It'd be a fun company to work at if it were a company. There's just a lot of really creative people. Actually, I will give you an exclusive. Nobody knows this, including almost anybody at the society. There's only one person in the society who knows this, so I'm going to do an exclusive announcement for you right now
Okay.
on your show. I am almost certain there's going to be a story with this tournament, a fictional story, an original story that will be written by an expert fiction writer as the backstory for this tournament, and it will accompany the tournament. There's going to be some intrigue, some villains, some drama. It's going to be very interesting, and I'm really excited about it. So there you go. That's your exclusive reveal.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, but as far as the prizes, I can't talk about that yet. In terms of brackets, this is how summoners can win the tournament. There's two ways to win the tournament. Champs can win the tournament, right? So, the Cerebra could go all the way. If she beats all of the opponents she faces, she could win the tournament and be the number one champ that wins the tournament. But summoners can also win the tournament. Last time Katie Candy won, actually. The way you win is by filling out a bracket. If you've ever done March Madness brackets, you know what I'm talking about. Otherwise, you may not. What it is like there's this bracket image, right, that shows every single match that's going to happen, and you just pick the winners of all the first round, and then that will create the list of characters that will be in the second round, and you just pick who you think will win those matches, and on until you've picked a winner of the whole tournament. And it's really not. It's kind of fun to do. It's not that hard. It takes a little thought because you have to try to think, who do I think the summoners will vote for, right? And then you submit that bracket, and that's your official prediction. We have a scoring system. The highest scoring bracket will receive the grand prize. And you have time to do that because as long as the wild card rounds are running, you can fill out you still have time to fill out your brackets and submit them. We won't kind of close submissions until it's time to start round one, and that's going to be a few weeks. So there's plenty of time to learn, and I'm not sure, but I think one of the society members, maybe Katie Candy, is going to make a video explaining how to do your bracket. So you don't have to just try to understand it from what I just said. But I think it's pretty self-explanatory, but I know some people kind of look at it and scratch their heads. So we're all very happy to explain it to you. Literally, I guarantee you, a bunch of the society members would be happy to try to explain it to you over and over again. Anybody who wants to ask.
Just drop into the Discord chat and
Yep.
I'm sure somebody will help you.
Yep, that's totally true.
Moose, do you have any questions? Is he with us?
He was.
Okay.
I just saw him drop a GIF in the chat a couple minutes ago. So
yeah. Jim did submit a question. He said, hang on, let me get back to it.
Oh, Jim submitted a question?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Imagine
Okay.
Jim.
This is another guy that I've got to mention. Jim, also known as Imagine Jim, has done wonders in this tournament. He has absolutely busted his butt. He built a website for the tournament. He designed all the brackets that you're seeing, like imagery-wise. He designed the logo for the Marvel Futurism or MCOC Futurism Society. He did a tournament like match card for every single one of the wild cards, and he's doing it for every single match. So you can just look at these images that are going up with every single match that happens in this tournament. He's done amazing work. He's just been grinding. He's doing so much cool stuff, and Turkey and APOC and others have been helping him. So it's been really fun to watch them work. They're doing all kinds of cool stuff.
Nice. I'm back.
Hey, Moose.
Hey, sorry. So hey, fine, welcome. Thanks for coming on board, and I
Yeah.
apologize for all my mishaps here.
Hey, all good, man. Hey, you know what? You're submitting a bracket again, right? We had one from
I
you last time.
sure I am. Yeah, no, I did one for myself. I think I
Yeah.
even might have done one for the MC Lounge as well. So
Yeah, I know. I know the lounge had one. I know the
yeah.
lounge had one. Yeah. So,
No, I definitely
um,
did, and it made sense. It'll be good, I think, for somebody to do a video because I know I was trying to explain it to a couple of people as well, and there is confusion, and I think I know for myself, I know where the confusion came in was like, so it's just people are voting, and I'm gonna see who's voting for somebody. Like I think that's where the disconnect was. It was like, okay,
mhm,
people are winning based on people are voting.
mhm.
So I think that's where the disconnect was. But I mean,
Okay.
like you said, it is kind of straightforward. So
Yeah, it's really weird because once you understand what's going on, it's not complicated. But
exactly,
before you understand what's going on, it's actually pretty complicated to explain.
for sure. No, it totally is. I like when you first kind of started talking about it, and I was like, oh yeah, man, I'll have one. XN Interviews is gonna have one. Blah blah is gonna have one. Everybody's like, they instant message me. They're like, brackets? Like what are we supposed to do with these brackets? And I'm like, you just okay. So he's gonna put some champs on it, and then people are gonna vote, and you just make it just pick champs who you think is gonna win. So how are they gonna win? Who's gonna win? So but
Hmm.
it was funny, yeah. So that'll be cool. It's awesome to have all you guys kind of involved in it. It's definitely cool. And like you were saying, I would assume that chat has a pretty creative bunch in there. I mean, everybody in their own rights doing their own content, and then I'm sure everybody coming together is going to be a pretty good stuff. I mean, you guys have already put together some awesome stuff, and looking forward to see some more. So. One of
Yeah.
the things you had just mentioned while I was still working out my sound problems here was Imagine Jim was the one who put together the website.
Yep.
That was something that you guys actually dropped today, correct?
Hmm. That's
Okay,
correct. That did drop today. Yeah.
nice. And then so since that was kind of new and everything like that, it's kind of a surprise. I mean, you didn't leak it out like you did all the other stuff. But like, so what are the other plans for the website right now? This is kind of a nice little hub for like the tournament and things like that, and just
Yeah.
future things. But do you guys have some future plans for that?
Yeah. I mean, I think that one of the goals of the society, the Futurism Society is what it sounds like. The main goal is just to drive content that fits into that niche of where's the future of the game going to be, and what could it be? What do summers want it to be? And I would say the biggest part of that we're focused on is what champs could there be, and what could their abilities be, right? We have a few little subgroups in our group. We have me and the people who are just interested in sort of trying to get summoners opinions, and then I view myself a little bit as like the frontline equivalent for future champs. Like I try to keep track of little tidbits that were grabbed. For instance, can you name 3 champs that were teased in the event quest this month?
No, I cannot.
Okay. Okay, so at one point they're trying to figure out who has commandeered all of the Hulkbuster units in the
Okay.
in the event quest dialogue, right? And Iron Man's like, who is it? And then Black Widow's like, oh, it would be somebody in government, and then Iron Man says, a leader? And that'll seem like a really weird thing for him to say
Gotcha.
unless you know that one of Hulk's main enemies, who isn't in the game yet, is the leader.
Mm,
Um, a second reference was when I think it's Joe Fixit is talking about how, oh, there are lots of monsters in in Bruce Banner's mind, and Immortal Hulk is not the worst one. And
for
uh,
sure.
and I think that at that point he's probably referring to like Claw or one of the other, or maybe the real like Devil Hulk, like that we've seen in some of the old 90s or 2000 comics, right?
Mm,
So there's that, and then there's also a reference to I think it's Immortal Hulk is saying he's mocking them, and he's saying you got this Sasquatch is just a knockoff Gamma character with he's just a hairy Hulk. He's a lesser Hulk, and he's not even he's not even the worst one of those. Well, that's a reference to either Wendigo or Zemnu or both, who are.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know how many people know this, but there is a Hulk from Marvel Comics that pre-existed the Hulk.
I had no idea. No.
Yeah, originally there was this hairy white character that came from space that had hypnotism powers. He's this monster that would hypnotize huge crowds of people. He was called Zemnu the Hulk, or the Horrible Hulk, or something. I can't remember what the adjective was, but yeah, that was the original Marvel Hulk, was this big hairy monster from outer space that would hypnotize people. And he ended up being a regular villain against the Hulk we know now, the green guy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And that time, I love how you. I can't wait to hear your guys' futurism podcasts when you guys start talking about champs, because the things that people are going to learn on them based on a simple question like what's going on with the website.
Yeah.
The thing you're going to learn is going to be fantastic.
I just wandered off topic again. I'm great at that, but yeah. I mean, so the idea is, I think that there's going to be a lot of stuff in the future around future champs. Awesome. One of if you follow Jim, you know he likes to do these super detailed workups of characters.
His Groot is the best.
Yeah, thank you. I helped with that. That was a collaboration.
Okay.
It was really fun working on that with him. He gets so excited about stuff, and he's so passionate. And there's a big project. I'm not going to say who, because I don't know if it's been revealed yet, but they're going to do a bunch of those character workups for a whole superhero team. And that is already well in the works. I don't think I should reveal who the team is yet, because I don't know if I have green light from the society to reveal who they're doing, but it's a whole team of superheroes, and they're going to have detailed abilities worked up for all of them. And I know that people on Twitter always go crazy when those get released. They love those. So that should be a fun project. And we were already planning March Madness. We're already planning the spring tournament after this one. So we already have one of the divisions mostly worked up, and we're starting work on more of those. So
nice. Awesome. Definitely looking forward to all that stuff.
Yeah.
Awesome. So there's a few things. There's a few other ways I wanted to go. One thing I definitely am curious about, and one of the things I brought up. Forgive me if you guys talked about it while I was not around, but the recent you kind of did the rebalance wish list, right, or list, I guess, is kind of like a follow up of the wish list. So it's a rebalance list. People can vote for it and stuff like that. Have you guys talked about that yet on this?
We have not. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. We really haven't had nearly as many summoners reply to that poll yet. I mentioned earlier we've had 3,000 summoners plus now reply to the champions poll, the wish list poll. Yeah. But the buff poll, the balance poll, we've only had about 450 people come through so far, and so. Yeah, so that's been fun seeing which buffs people want, and I think it does. I think Kabami is watching that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, people should definitely. It's in my pinned tweet at the top of my Twitter, right there with the other poll. So tell people which champ you want buff.
I was gonna say. So I mean, there's a lot of kind of things that brought up for me. I mean, that was where I found it, and I mean, quick question: was it around? Has it been around as long as the wish list?
No. So I made the wish list a few years ago, and then started the Twitter to try to promote that. And then as I think they started announcing they were going to buff a few champs last year. I said, hey, we should make a poll for that too. People are talking about which champs do they most want, and I'm like, hey, so it was a 2019 thing. I was like, let's start this, and. And so then people started voting on it a little bit, and then after that they announced, hey, we're going to start really buffing champs a lot, like we're going to rebalance the game. So then that's when I started really trying to, hey, this is actually a thing, like let's try to drive more votes to this and get people's input. So
for sure, no, definitely. Honestly, I feel like forgive me if I missed that it was like mentioned in the collab kind of rework of Groot. Because I hope I would have found it along then, because I really love that rework, but I didn't.
No, it wasn't mentioned in It's a good idea, actually. When we do these little champ workups with all what the abilities could be, we should put a reference to the poll on there. Thanks, Moose. I hadn't
No
even
problem.
thought of that.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, because I mean, I think it's a great idea, and exactly. I mean, I think the game, like you were saying, the game official account and the community members that are kind of the liaisons have been, definitely partaking in the community and definitely stepped that up a lot recently. So yeah, I mean, you've already got the foundation here for set it up. We might as well start, getting it out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and that was just I was thinking about that because I see Groot as number one, and gosh, I really hope that gets done because, like I've always said, ever since Professor X came out and the whole, the Cerebro, right? How at the start of the screen, how you have that kind of blue haze around the whole screen, the mechanic of gosh, it eludes me right now. But the like glow from Groot could totally work the same, right?
No, yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, it could. I think I always get startled when Professor X does that at the beginning. Like, whoa!
Same.
Oh, he's coming at me. Like,
Yeah,
that would be
pre-fight ability.
Yeah, it would be. I think there's so much cool stuff they could do with a Groot buff. So just, I try to tread lightly in terms of prescribing what I think they should do. I just try to like collect summoners' ideas. That's the way I view myself. It's like, hey, there's these ideas in the community. I'm going to try to collect them and throw them at Kabam's feet, and then in ways that are easy for Kabam to look at, right? So that's why we have the ranker, because I just want them to be able to collect that data in a different way that might be useful to them.
For sure.
And what they do with it, that's up to them. I kind of view that as being like trying to, like I said before, I don't know if I want to peek behind the curtain. That's where the magic happens, right? Let them decide. But
I was gonna say, like, I mean, at the end of the day, you were speaking about how you haven't, applied for the content creator, and you referred to it as peeking behind the curtain. I mean, I don't know. I haven't really talked, in depth about those people. It doesn't seem like they give them that much.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you really have to sign contracts, and they like monitor your tweets and recheck your videos and stuff before you send it out. So I think it probably would work in your benefit to do that. So at least you could be closer to them, and it would just give you, if anything, just more ammo to put here, because I guess not that you really need enough is more at the end of the day to actually probably go with what you're saying. You don't need more info, right? You have enough.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
No, that's funny. But yeah, so one of the things I actually did want to ask, and whenever we kind of bring people on, we always kind of talk about the content they're making and things like that. I always like kind of getting to know the summoner, like how you play the game and all that kind of stuff. So are you currently in like an alliance that you have to, kind of play a couple times a day or something like that?
Yeah. So I'm in the same alliance with the Sinister Minister, if you know him.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, and that was actually just kind of a thing that happened not that long ago, a few months ago, because I was playing in a platinum level alliance last spring, and between the tournament being time consuming and I had my first kid on the way, who's 5 months. Thank you. He's 5 months, almost 5 months old now, and
nice.
But my job has also been kind of crazy, and so. I just platinum level play was just a little stressful at the time, and also because I had been retired for a while, not fully. I never really stopped playing, but I wasn't like aggressively playing alliance play. So when I jumped to platinum, it was kind of like baptism by fire. It's like, okay,
for sure.
Better rank some champs fast, and I was able to keep up, but barely, and so it was just very stressful. And so then I decided to jump down a level in my home alliance family, but the next level down in my alliance family was too low. They were mostly running map 4 in their alliance quest, and occasionally 5, but maybe they're running 5 now. But I wanted more map 6, but I just wanted a more relaxed war situation. And the minister told me, he's like, yeah, well, we can do that. We're a little bit less stringent about war, and we mostly like to do alliance quests. And I love those guys. I never thought that I'd be able to find a group that I like as much as my home alliance, but I really do like the Aspect of Nightmares group. That's
Nice.
Sinister Ministers group. They're a great group of guys, and I barely have to think about anything. It's actually a huge change of pace because I spent years officering, and I'm not an officer anymore, and I can just. They used to use me as the cleaner. Actually, I was the backup guy in war. And they would just like, if they needed me, they'd ping me like, "Hey, can you kill this?" And yep.
Nice. That sounds like a nice a nice setup for war.
It was very nice. So I'm at the beginning of this year, I had no maxed out 5 stars.
Wow.
I now have like 10 or 11, nice. And I have a rank 2 6-star. So it's my Corvus. So I'm feeling. You know, I'm not one of these guys who's going to go like finish Act 6 right now. I mean, I'm not gonna go do Abyss this week or anything. And I'm probably never going to be the cool YouTuber that everybody watches. Oh man, did you see what Gabe killed this week or other Gabe killed this week? And I was like, but I feel like I got skills. I got skills. I can do. I can take out some stuff.
There you go. I mean, and hey, at the end of the day, what you bring to the community is very unique. So whether who you could take down to fight, I could care less. But yeah, no, I mean the things you do bring to the community are unique. So more power to you. But yeah, that was one of the questions I was going to ask if you were or have been a leader or an officer.
So I've actually never been officially the leader. Well, I once was the leader of our parking lot alliance, like but no, I was never the leader of one of the home alliances, but I was functionally the leader, kind of, for a little while because I made it a project of mine a couple of years ago to try to like gussy up the group and really get them ambitious and organized more than they were, and it was just to help the leader, and so I was putting a bunch of extra energy in while I was. I just had the bandwidth at the time, and so I have the idea of what it would be like to be an alliance leader, and because I did essentially that job for several months a couple of years ago.
Okay.
So much respect to all y'all organized alliance leaders. You're amazing.
For sure. Yeah. No. I mean, I could just kind of where the idea or why I guess I wanted to know was just, with the tournament and, just how you put out your content, it's very organized and everything like that. Mm-hmm. So I could see that would be kind of a start, right? So you get in an alliance, you start playing the game, become an officer. Oh, hey, look, I'm kind of bored with this one alliance about organizing everything. I'm going to go start, putting content out.
Yeah, you're not wrong. There is a pattern there. Yeah.
Fair enough, exactly. I mean, I've been doing it quite some time. I've fallen into that pattern. But instead of doing.
You're pretty prolific yourself. You've got a bunch of projects that your name is out there, man. You're doing a bunch of cool things.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. I've before I kind of started, I guess, being out there, I was building a community of alliances. So, being an officer and a leader was something I did for a long time. Before I started doing this, but no, that actually leads me to something. You were saying I would do stuff, and you guys are doing stuff. I saw that you guys were still brainstorming on how you could get templates out there or something like that. How you'd have people do the brackets.
Yeah, we've discussed a couple of different ways that it might be done. Either leveraging the website, or we've talked a little bit about maybe we could make a PDF that has, pre-fillable spaces on it so people could just type in the next name and it'd be easier, right, to fill it out. But I think it's going to depend, because we're all volunteers. Everybody's just doing this for fun. And so really we have to go by who has the nerd momentum right now. Like whoever's got time this week and isn't overwhelmed by work and is really pumped about an idea, then that's the content we get. That's really how the MCC Future System Society works. So, Jim gets these bursts of energy, and then suddenly we have a logo, and suddenly we have a website, right? Or Turkey gets this burst of energy, and then we get this other thing. Like, I don't even honestly, I can't even keep track of where everything came from. Like, I remember just one week, all of a sudden, we had logos, and we had a Discord, and we had all this stuff, and I was like, what in the world? Oh my goodness! Like, there's so many things going on.
Nice. I was gonna say, well, because Jax, who's actually been helping on me this past couple of weeks, the poster templates. It could be very. It wouldn't be very difficult to make it into doing templates for that as well.
Yes, I'm totally open to. Yeah, to something like that. Yeah, that would be great. I mean, we're really just interested in making this easy to do, right? So.
Yeah, that was exactly, and it would be easy. Like I was just thinking of ways to do it before we came on here. I wish that tweet, or I read that tweet hours before this interview, as opposed to like a half hour before the interview, because I would have actually had something done.
That's cool. Oh, that's cool.
But
hey, I like that.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it would be just a matter of getting the champ names. And then it would probably take me an hour or so to put it together.
Yeah, JX is a great name, by the way, too. That's a guy who's been doing some cool stuff lately.
For sure.
And you know, I just want to say, like, anybody who wants to do stuff with society, like, just put your name out there and talk about what you want to do, you know, because really all it is just a bunch of people who want to do cool stuff together. So, I mean, we're trying to loosely keep it mostly focused on things that have to do with the future of you know, the game, because that's kind of our niche, but really it doesn't have to be just that. It's just, yeah, whatever people want to do. And
For sure.
we try to focus in the society. We try to focus on putting less pressure on the more experienced content creators. Let them just be who they want to be, contribute what they want to contribute, right? And then more work on the people who are have fewer followers or have been around less time. We try to encourage them, like, hey, like, you do a lot of work, you're going to get a lot of credit. And sure. And that really has been the way it's been. Like, we have a few new guys who've come in who've just absolutely blown it up. And they deserve, I hope they get a lot of followers out of all the stuff they're doing, because I am certainly going to be giving them a lot of credit to my followers. And I know, you know, Katie and some of the others who have a lot of followers are doing the same thing, because I think it is kind of, you know, if you do good content, you deserve to get exposure.
Right. I mean, that's how, and I think that's how our community, this community works for the most part.
Yeah.
I mean, if people are actually like kind of putting the work behind it, it definitely is, you know, people are responding, because that's one thing about this community I think is above most other gaming communities, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't really have any other notes, and we're about on the hour, so we don't want to take up too much more of your time. But there is one thing I did want to ask, or if there is one more thing that you can give us, although you have given us enough also on this episode. But is there anything in the future for the other Gabe that is different from like wish lists or anything that you're working on that you want to get out there? Or you can maybe tease us.
You know, I have given you guys a few teases already.
You give us quite a bit, man. So
yeah. So
I wouldn't be mad if that was it.
Yeah, no. You know, I think I'm trying to think about what the things we've talked about recently. Whether there's something I can throw you that I haven't thrown you yet. I think the one thing I should say you should look for is I'm going to try to kind of collect as many as I can of the big endorsements that we've gotten for the Summoner's Choice. Which is coming up this week, right? If you're paying attention, you know Summoner's Choice is starting soon in the game, in Marvel Contest of Champions, and we're going to be picking between those 8 champs. And I wanted to put, I don't know, it's really going to depend on how much time I have, but if I can collect kind of just who all has endorsed which ones, because I think there's some content creators have spoken out. Like I haven't been able to corner Katie yet. She can't decide between like 3 different champs, and she loves to be mysterious, right? So, but I think Ilac endorsed Omega Sentinel. I think Kalantek, you know, our brother over there in India, he's of course endorsed Omega Sentinel. A bunch of the group have gotten behind. By the group, I mean different content creators have gotten behind Morgan Le Fay or Dazzler, obviously. Dan over at Frontline MCOC is a Dazzler fan, I think. I say obviously because he's a big Notorious Mutant fan. So that's one piece of content, and hopefully not a very elaborate content, but just kind of a list of which people have endorsed which. I think people might be interested to see, like my favorite YouTuber endorsed this one or that one, right?
Gotcha. Oh, yeah, there you go. That'd be cool. Yeah, no.
Sure. Yeah, it might be a little niche nobody's done. So, That's not a big reveal, but if keep an ie out on my Twitter. If I have time to do it, I'll do it.
Cool. Awesome, man. Well, yeah, no, I definitely appreciate everything you're doing for the community and how you do it, man. You do it in an awesome way. I do appreciate it. So
thanks. I'll try to keep it positive.
Awesome. I definitely, I think that's all the notes I have, and I definitely appreciate it and say thank you for coming on and hanging out with the XN interviews and on the lounge. And I'll let Nick or XN sign off.
Yeah, man. Thanks again for being here with us. Everybody in the chat, and we had a good time.
All that good stuff.
Yeah, no, it's nice. Thanks, guys. I'm honored to be on here. I'm honored to be talking about all this stuff. It's crazy to me that there's like so many people who are into this. So I wish you the best, and I'm enjoying seeing what you guys are doing. I'm looking forward to seeing what you do with the radio stuff and all the growing podcast projects, and it's really cool. I appreciate you including me.
Yeah. Awesome.
It's awesome having you here, man. We're more than happy to get your content out there as much as everybody else's.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, everybody have a great night, and thanks for joining us on XN Interviews.
Happy grinding out there. May the RNG be kind.